Hi, my name is Virginia Claire Nist. I am the Chief of Client Services in Ansbach, Germany, and as Chief of Client Services, that means that I'm over legal assistance and claims. I'm here to talk to you today about some helpful hints and information for your upcoming PCS or move to Germany. First, we are located on the third floor above the mailroom in building 5817A. It's kind of by ACS, but third floor above the mailroom is probably the easiest way to find us. It is best to email us. You can find us on our website, 7th ATC OSJA, or just by Googling Ansbach Legal Assistance. It's best to email us for an appointment. We're currently closed for walk-ins due to the pandemic. We're not sure when that will change, but just email or call us for an appointment. To get started, some general legal issues to think about when you are starting your PCS. First, it's really important to wrap up any ongoing legal issues you may have. This is if you have a traffic ticket, if you have a child custody dispute, if you have an ongoing divorce, anything like that. You want to try to wrap it up before you leave the US. It may seem like you've got so much going on and that you just need to get to Germany and then you'll figure that stuff out. However, you'll figure out pretty quickly here in Germany that it is much harder to contact places back in the States, specifically legal offices and courts, when you are stationed overseas versus when you're back home. So my suggestion is to handle everything up front. Do a little bit of prior preparation and it'll make your life easier. Certainly for things like traffic tickets, stuff like that, handle it all up front if you can. For ongoing disputes, divorces, child custody, it's best if you have an attorney who can assist you while you're gone, and or to coordinate with your legal assistance office locally, who can then coordinate with us when you get here, so we can kind of make it as seamless a transition as possible. You can also coordinate directly with the courts, but again, just be prepared and plan for those sort of eventualities. We want to encourage you to have all of your powers of attorney in place before you leave. Again, this is the fact that a little prior preparation can help you in the long run. I normally do not recommend a general power of attorney. Sometimes they're appropriate, but they are extremely powerful documents and we see how they can be misused. So in the event, normally a couple specific powers of attorney, whether it's a specific power of attorney to ship your vehicle, to ship your household goods, to store your household goods, anything like that, a specific power of attorney may be better than just granting a general power of attorney. The other thing that you need to remember is that if your spouse is traveling separate from you for any reason, whether it's delayed travel or coming later, whatever it is, you need to have a specific power of attorney or a notarized letter giving your spouse permission to travel internationally with your children. This is important because you can be stopped at Customs and Border Patrol and questioned about international child kidnapping. Obviously, we don't think your spouse is kidnapping the children, but Customs and Border Patrol does not know that, and they are just trying to look out for parental's best interest. So again, make sure that you have those letters or powers of attorney in place prior to anyone flying alone with the kids. A couple of legal issues that are specific to Germany that I want to mention to you today. One is that German traffic tickets are different from the US. We live here in Germany, we have to abide by German rules. They are slightly different than US rules. The due process laws are different. When you get, in the States, when you get pulled over, you, hold on, I'm gonna restart that section. A couple of legal issues that I want to mention that are specific to Germany. One is that German laws are different from American, and we have to abide by German laws while we are living here. You will rarely get pulled over by a Polizei and issued a speeding ticket in Germany like you would in the States. Instead, you will get flashed by a camera and they will send you a speeding ticket where they have already assessed fines and points on your license. If you have any questions about this, come see us in Legal Assistance. We'd be more than happy to help with that, but it's just slightly different and something to be aware of. Be on the lookout for those flashes. The other important thing to note is that German DUIs are different than American DUIs. That being, the German limit is lower. US legal limit is 0.08. German legal limit is 0.0525. That is a significantly lower limit, and German beer is significantly stronger. They also have different rules. For example, just having your keys beside your car could give you control of your car so that you would be issued a DUI, even though you're not driving it. These are all things that we want service members to keep in mind to avoid getting a DUI. They can be very detrimental to both your military career and just cause a lot of issues. The next thing I want to talk about is German contracts. We want you to be cautious of entering German contracts without carefully reviewing them, and specifically carefully reviewing how to counsel them. I'm going to redo that. We want you to be very careful when entering into German contracts. Specifically, we want you to check how you counsel the contract. A lot of cell phone contracts, train pass contracts, other recurring subscription type things, they may require 60 or 90 days written notice to cancel the contract. It's just something that you need to be aware of before entering into the contract so that you know how to properly cancel it. Also be careful with rental cars. We have had a uptick in soldiers who have had rental car issues. You need to make sure that you take pictures prior to driving the car and then also after you turn the car back in. Specifically the rims and the wheels, they can charge you for nicks and dings and scratches, and the damage can really add up and be fairly expensive. So take lots of pictures, be very careful when driving a car, and that can avoid some unnecessary fines. What we do here in Legal Assistance. So I'm not going to go over everything that we do, but I'll just kind of give you a basic overview. We help with wills and powers of attorney. We do family law, we do immigration law, we do all sorts of military, flippals, GOMARs, those sorts of things. Those can be time sensitive, so a lot of times you want to come see us immediately if you have those sorts of issues. We do tax law. Unfortunately, we don't have a tax center here in Ansbach for the past couple of years, but I will recommend that you go to Military One Source and use MilTax. They use H&R Block software, and it is a great resource. They have on-demand, or you can make an appointment online, and they have people that specialize in military tax issues. It's a great resource and free for service members. On the German side of things, we have a German attorney who is in-house with us. She is absolutely wonderful, and she can help with everything from traffic tickets, consumer law contract issues, landlord-tenant disputes, illegal downloads, and family law. So if you have any questions on the US side or the German side, come see us. A couple of things that we can't do: we can't represent you in court, unfortunately, and we can't help with employment law matters or home-based businesses, but we can help with a lot of other things. Now moving on to claims. We have recently moved personnel claims over. They are no longer adjudicated in our office. They are adjudicated centrally from Fort Knox, but here in Ansbach Claims office, we are still able to help you inputting your claims. If you have any questions about DPS or move.mil, we can still assist you with a lot of that. But the actual adjudication is done at Fort Knox. One thing that I encourage everyone to do is go online to DPS, create an account, make sure your account is active. Sometimes they time out after 30 or 60 days. It's very important to have an active account. That's where you will file your notice of loss or damage. We're not going to go into all of the detailed kind of timelines and restrictions and forms that you need for filing a claim today, but I will say they have a great detailed walkthrough on move.mil on the DPS website that I would encourage everyone to go and check out. A couple of things to highlight though. The deadline extended last year. It was 75 days. It extended to 180 days. So you now have 180 days to file your notice of loss or damage for your move. That is a lot of time, but you still need to be proactive and not let the deadline slip up on you. Go to move.mil, check in with them, follow the instructions, and review all of the necessary timelines and deadlines because that's super important. A couple of claim tips or tricks. One, photos. You can never have too many photos. You can only have too few. We want wide shots, close-ups. If there are any damage, you want all different views of that damage. Also, you want to make sure that you have photos shortly before it's picked up and after the damage has already occurred. So you want prior and post transportation photos. We want to make sure that those pictures are of all different angles and clearly show, what happened. If they open your crate and you see that it's all crazy or that there's mold or something else, start taking pictures immediately. That is important. Probably the most important thing next to all the photos is your inventory. Your inventory is one of the most important documents of your entire move. It is important because it needs to be detailed and it also needs to be accurate and correct. What I mean by that is you need to make sure that the pre-existing damage, if it's listed, that it is accurate. So this means if your couch is brand new and they try to say that it's scratched and has damage on the corners, you need to be assertive. Don't be aggressive, don't be rude, but be assertive and also photograph and make sure and show your argument. Show that we got this couch a week ago or however long ago and that there is not pre-existing damage to it. That is a very important conversation to have with the movers. And again, be assertive but not rude or aggressive or anything like that. You also want to make sure that the high value items, that they are packed correctly and that you see them packed and that everything is listed correctly and as detailed as possible. So if you have a TV or a couch that is name brand, anything like that, you want the name brand, any inventory number, anything like that specifically listed on there so that it can be tracked and traced and you can be and you can recoup any loss for that. So you want to make sure your TV, your couches, anything that's name brand over $100 is normally the cutoff mark, is listed on there, and it can go on for several pages, and that's okay. Your movers may balk at that, but ask them to list it there if that's if you believe that it's all high value. That's certainly what you can and should do if that's what you believe. The other thing that's important to note about high value items is that you need to, once you receive them on the other end, you need to check them carefully before you sign. Because once you sign that everything arrived okay, it makes it much harder to claim on the back end. So before, you need to give loss of notice for any high value items kind of that day before you sign, and that needs to be notated early. Next, moving on to shipping your personal vehicle. It is so important when you pick up your car that you check it carefully. Check it thoroughly. They will give you a free car wash. Go get your car washed. If you notice anything, scratches, dents, whatever, that occurred during transport, you need to go back immediately. Don't go to the commissary, don't go get lunch, go back immediately and file the notice of loss or damage at that point. If you wait any amount of time, they can say, oh, this didn't happen at transport, it happened, when you went to the commissary, or any overnight, whatever the delay was caused by. It's just something to be aware of and to be very careful of. The other thing you want to be careful of is sometimes for small scratches and dents, you can be offered a cash on the spot offer. You may want to accept it or you may not. Just know that garages in Germany are more expensive than garages in the United States, and so getting that repair may cost you more. Again, you can accept it or decline it, but it's just something to note. In closing, the most important thing to realize when PCSing to Germany is that a little bit of prior preparation can help a lot to ease some of the stress of it. Again, make sure that you have closed out any ongoing legal issues that you have. Make sure that you coordinate with your spouse or loved ones about any POAs that are needed for shipping cars or shipping household goods, anything like that. If your spouse is going to be traveling alone with children, make sure to get a POA that specifically allows for that. And then for your claims, again, my advice is go to move.mil, go to DPS, check their website. They have lots of helpful hints and tips and tricks. So in closing, again, no, this is not an exhaustive list of everything you need to know when you PCS to Germany. This is a helpful kind of introduction to some of the legal issues you may face. I will again remind you, try to close out any ongoing legal issues that you may have. Make sure you have any powers of attorney in place prior to leaving is always best. If your spouse could be traveling with your children alone, make sure that your spouse has a power of attorney that allows them to travel internationally with the kids. We want, for claims wise, make sure that your inventory is correct, make sure that you have plenty of photos, go to DPS, check their website, move.mil, and just review all of the necessary documents and things so that you can have as seamless a PCS as possible. We look forward to having you here in Ansbach.